Now, which Lamont won? Who you thought won? Lamont.
You thought Lamont won?
Lamont Roach was robbed of a knockdown.
Controversy erupted following the Gervonta Tank Davis versus Lamont Roach fight, as many felt Roach had done enough to secure the win. However, the judge's decision to rule the bout a draw sparked outrage across the boxing world, with experts and fans blasting the scoring. Amid the widespread backlash over the decision, pro boxer Isaac Cruz weighed in on the controversy and praised both Gervonta Tank Davis and Lamont Roach for delivering an exciting fight, admitting he was impressed by Roach's outstanding performance. While he enjoyed the bout, Cruz expressed his disagreement with the final score, believing that Roach was owed a knockdown count.
Pues ahora sí que dieron una gran pelea, ahora sí que me sorprendió la pelea que dio Lamont Roach y bueno, fue una gran pelea para toda la aficionado.
¿Tú crees que fue un empate?
No, yo creo que no, creo que le quedó una de ver la caída a Lamont Roach, pero bueno, decisión de los jueces y del referee que no le hizo válida la caída, no le hizo el conteo.
Cruz noted that Tank Davis seemed fixated on landing a single knockout punch in the opening round, while Lamont Roach came in well prepared and stuck to his game plan. He emphasized that for Davis to have secured a more decisive victory, he needed to apply more pressure, throw a higher volume of punches, and appear more effective throughout the fight.
Bueno, él nada más apostó a un solo round, que a un solo golpe para poderlo noquear, y el cual Loma venía muy bien preparado, muy bien concentrado en el plan de trabajo. Bueno, creo que a Tank le faltó presionar, tirar más golpes para ser más contundente y que se viera más efectivo a la hora de la victoria.
Reacting to the controversial draw, Lamont Roach Sr. firmly stated that his son deserved to have his hand raised in victory. He believed they should have been awarded the decision. Despite the disappointment, he acknowledged that it was a great fight.
Bittersweet. You said could have, I say we should have had our hand raised. We should have got a decision, but this boxing, we didn't. It was a great fight, like I expected. But I knew my son was game. Training camp, he was so focused and locked in. I knew that we was gonna put on a great performance, and it was kind of like stolen away from him a little bit with the decision.
However, he pointed out a silver lining, stating that the world finally got to see just how good Lamont Roach truly is. He emphasized that with this performance, Roach firmly stamped his name in the boxing world and gained well-deserved recognition.
But the world got to see how good he is, so that's the plus to come out of this. So he really stamped himself in the boxing world more so with this performance. So like I say, that's why it's bittersweet.
Moving on, Lamont Roach's manager, Robert Diaz, reacted to the draw by expressing both pride and satisfaction. He reminded everyone that he had urged them not to dismiss the fight before witnessing it firsthand. Diaz criticized how fans often judge matchups prematurely based on assumptions, emphasizing that sometimes it's the fear of the unknown that prevents them from acknowledging a fighter's true potential.
I'm very happy. I'm very proud because I told everybody before that would listen. Don't knock it until you try it. You know, too many times in boxing, the fans kill fights because what they think or what they don't know. Sometimes it's the unknown that they're afraid to admit of. The experts that know knew it was a good fight. Maybe not all of them. There's a lot of boxing people that are not experts.
In addition, Diaz stated that he had repeatedly told people there was a dog in Lamont Roach and that they would finally see it in this fight. Having match-made many of Roach's bouts, he stated that he fully understands his abilities, both in victory and defeat. He acknowledged and praised Roach's dedication and effort, emphasizing the hard work he puts into bouts.
But I kept telling him, you're gonna see a dog. There is a dog in here. Trust me, I've match-made a lot of his fights. I know what he has. I've seen him hit the bottom when he lost. Even a drawback years ago in Puerto Rico really crushed him. That's what told me what a competitive he was. I saw what he put into this fight. I saw how much he wanted this fight.
Echoing Robert Diaz's sentiments about Roach's determination, Angel Garcia also shared his thoughts on the fight, stating that it was a good fight. He stressed the importance of never underestimating the underdog, as hunger and determination can change everything in boxing. Garcia emphasized that fighters deserve credit because anything can happen in the ring. While he acknowledged Roach fought with heart and soul, he ultimately felt the fight could have gone either way.
It was a good fight. I mean, you gotta understand, can't underestimate the underdog, bro. He's hungry, you know what I mean? They wasn't giving him no credit. They were making us see it was a slouch, you could run over. You can't do that in boxing. anything can happen. You can have a great night, believe that. You got to believe in your soul, and I think the kid was in there with his soul tonight. It was a good fight, don't get me wrong. And, to me, it could have went either way.
Either way.
Also agreeing with Lamont's good performance, Danny Garcia weighed in on the controversial draw, noting that it was a closely contested fight where he couldn't pick a clear winner when the final bell rang. He remarked that while Tank Davis appeared to be off his game, Lamont Roach delivered an outstanding performance, proving that he truly did his thing in the ring and leaving nothing to be taken away from him. He also stated that the bout surely left Lamont with a lot more fans than when he entered the ring.
I thought it was a close fight. I thought it really was like a close fight. When the final bell rang, I didn't know who won the fight. Mm-hmm. But I think Tank had a little off night, and Lamont had a great night.
Yeah.
I think that's what it was. You know what I mean? So, Lamont did his thing though. You can't take nothing away from him.
He fought a hell of a fight.
He really can't. He stood in front of him, took his best shot. He was standing in the pocket, blocking, throwing back. Like he was doing a lot of good things in there. And, he gained a lot of fans tonight, I'll tell you that much for sure, 100%. Like, he's going to get bigger fights after this.
Building on these varied perspectives, Jim Lampley offered his take on the decision. He remarked that an upset draw is a mixed bag for fans and insiders alike, though in essence, it was the right call. Lampley raised a lingering question about whether Steve Willis should have deducted a point in the later rounds when Tank Davis appeared to touch the canvas with his hand.
An upset draw is always a mixed bag for fans, for people in the sport, etc., etc. I thought it was, in essence, the right decision. The only question about whether the upset draw is justified is whether Steve Willis erred in not deducting a point in a late round when Tank Davis appeared to touch the canvas with his hand.
Ultimately, Jim stated that this outcome marks a significant setback for Tank Davis's career and reputation. Many observers had expected a knockout, especially given that Roach had moved up from 130 to 135 pounds, a weight increase that often brings added strength. In this fight, it appeared that Roach indeed capitalized on that extra power.
At the end of the day, it's a setback in Tank's career and for his reputation. I think most observers expected him to knock Roach out, particularly because Roach was moving up from 130 to 135. Sometimes when a fighter moves up in weight, he gets stronger, and it looked as though maybe Roach did get stronger and had a greater ability to resist Tank's power than other opponents have had.
Although Jim thinks this many believe that the ruling was unfair, just like Showbiz the Adult, who made shocking points regarding the situation. Showbiz the Adult asserted that there was no question about Lamont Roach knocking down Tank Davis. According to Showbiz, Davis was struck by a punch, stepped back, and took a knee. Upon rising, referee Steve Willis sent Roach to a neutral corner before initiating the count, move that clearly indicated a knockdown.
It's not even a question if Lamont Roach knocked down Gervonta Tank Davis. Gervonta Tank Davis was hit with a punch, and afterwards he stepped back and took a knee. When he got up, the ref, Steve Willis, sent Lamont Roach to a neutral corner and then proceeded to count. That's a knockdown.
Building on his point, Showbiz explained that delayed reactions after taking a punch are common in boxing. He emphasized that by the rules, a fighter taking a knee automatically incurs a count and a point deduction.
It happens all the time. A fighter get hit with a punch, delayed reaction, takes a knee, and that's a knockdown. By the rules, if a fighter takes a knee, that is an automatic count and a point deduction.
Moreover, Showbiz contended that while the referee executed his duties properly, the judges failed to deduct a point. He highlighted the scorecards as evidence of hypocrisy. None of the judges scored the round as a 10-8 in favor of Lamont Roach, with only one judge even acknowledging his performance, arguing that Roach was robbed of a knockdown, and he provided proof to back his claim.
Steve Willis did his job as a referee, sending Lamont Roach to a neutral corner and starting a count. Now it's up to the judges to deduct a point. And they didn't. Look at the 9th round. All 3 judges. None of them judged it a 10-8 round for Lamont Roach. And only one actually judged it for Lamont Roach. Lamont Roach was robbed of a knockdown.
Showbiz pointed out that by the numbers, round 9 was initially awarded to Davis. However, that same round featured Davis being knocked down, which should have resulted in a 10-8 score for Lamont Roach. Without factoring in the knockdown, Roach narrowly won on the scorecards. With it, he would have secured the fight by a substantial margin, an 8-round to 4-round victory.
If you look at round 9, that was a round by the numbers that Davis won. But that is the same round where Davis was knocked down. So that would have been a 10-8. So not only did Lamont Roach win by the numbers without the knockdown, with the knockdown that he was robbed of, Lamont Roach would have won this fight by a huge margin, 8 rounds to 4.
Disagreeing with the judges, Sean Zettel also highlighted similar points as Showbiz. In Sean's view, Lamont Roach was the clear winner of the fight. Sean stated this should have been ruled a knockdown cause Davis had one of his best rounds after that moment. He believed that Roach controlled the center of the ring far more effectively than Gervonta Davis and pushed Tank on the back foot more than vice versa, absorbing Davis's punches better, solidifying his dominance in the bout.
So despite all that, I thought that Lamont Roach won this fight. I thought he was the better man. I thought that he controlled the center of the ring better than Gervonta Davis. I thought that he backed up Gervonta Davis more than the other way around. And I thought he took the punching power of Gervonta Davis well and buzzed him a couple of times, not just once or twice. And then if you look at what should have been a knockdown in the 9th round, kind of reminded me of Floyd Mayweather against Carlos Hernandez.
Expanding on the issue of the unfair judging, Sean Zettel also emphasized that a round which should have been scored 10-8 for Lamont Roach was instead ruled 10-9 for Davis, a 3-point swing that enabled Davis to escape with a draw and retain his WBA title. Zettel further argued that the version of Tank Davis who faced Roach likely wouldn't be able to compete with Shakur Stevenson, highlighting a stark discrepancy in performance.
He let a lot of combinations go, and it goes from a 10-8 round for Lamont Roach to a 10-9 round for Gervonta Davis. 3-point swing that allowed Davis to escape with a draw with his WBA title. So the Gervonta Davis that fought tonight would not beat Shakur Stevenson probably. And I've been talking about giving him the edge over Shakur Stevenson. He was very flat tonight.
Moving on, Luke Thomas noted that Lamont Roach's stock is set to soar after his relentless pressure on Tank Davis. He emphasized that Roach's ability to consistently push Davis and land powerful blows marked this as the toughest fight in Davis's 31 pro fight career.
For Lamont Roach, his stock goes up, I think, a significant amount, given how he was able to push Tank, land on Tank, make this the toughest fight of Tank's 31 pro fight career by far. I think he did himself a lot of favors.
However, Luke Thomas also noted that Tank isn't pursuing a call-out at this time, leaving fans wondering if a rematch might be on the horizon. While Luke stated that he wouldn't mind another showdown, he expressed uncertainty over whether there's sufficient demand for it. He pointed out Tank's statement regarding having left 2 to 3 fights at most before retiring.
I think another way to look at this is he was supposed to have a big call-out after this. He gets a draw. There is no call out. He doesn't do it. Now we're left wondering, are we going to get a rematch with this? Which I wouldn't hate, but I don't know if there's like a big demand for it. Tank has said prior to this night that like all of this is, you know, he's got 3 fights left. This would have been one of them. So that would have been at least 2 more essentially this year if he can squeeze them in, he said.
In addition, Demetrius Andrade described the fight as a great contest and praised Roach for his unexpected performance. He acknowledged that Roach brought something no one had anticipated, particularly his power. Andrade noted that Roach came in well prepared, fought at the right distance, and displayed strong ring intelligence, calling it a high IQ fight.
Yeah, it was a great fight. Roach had something that we all wasn't expecting. He might have had power. His distance was good. He came in ready, prepared to fight, and he showcased that. And man, we had a good fight overall. It was a good IQ fight.
Moving on, Brian Custer noted that at elite levels, fighters like Tank Davis can sometimes become enamored with their own power. He explained that Davis entered the fight confident in his one-punch knockout ability against Lamont Roach. However, when Davis realized that Roach was absorbing and countering his punches effectively, it was too late to turn the tide. Custer expressed clear disappointment that the bout ultimately ended in a draw.
Sometimes when you get at that level, fall in love with your own power, I think. And I think this was one of those fights where Tank thought, okay, I'm going to get him with that one-punch knockout power. And then when he found out, man, this guy is in front of me, he's taking it. I think it was too late. I thought it was disappointing that it ended in a draw.
Bryan observed that the moment when Tank Davis took a knee was the biggest disappointment of the fight, as it should have resulted in a 2-point deduction, an oversight he stated that must have been particularly disheartening for Lamont Roach. He also found it intriguing that 2 of the 3 judges had Davis ahead after 6 rounds, yet 2 later awarded the critical 12th round to Roach, just enough to force a draw, making the scoring inconsistency all the more surprising.
That's probably, if you're Lamont Roach, that's probably the biggest thing that's disappointing, because that's 2 points right then and there. I thought it was interesting that most of the 2 of the 3 judges had, Gervonta up after 6 rounds, and that 2 of the 3 judges gave Roach the 12th round. He needed that 12th just to make it a draw. That, to me, was surprising.
World champ Shakur Stevenson was equally forthright, insisting that Lamont Roach had clearly won the fight and that the result was far from a draw.
It was a draw? No. Who you thought won? Lamont. You thought Lamont won?
Moving on to the fighters of the bout, Lamont Roach expressed in the post-fight press conference that although he'd like to re-watch the bout, he firmly believes he emerged victorious inside the ring. He emphasized that he had done enough to secure the win, proudly reiterating that he had the skills and was glad to showcase them.
I mean, obviously I want to go back and watch it, but clearly in there, man, I thought I won. I thought I did enough to get the victory over a spectacular fighter. I told y'all from the beginning, man, that I got the skills to pay the mother bills. I've been telling y'all that. And I'm just glad I got to show it, honestly. I'm glad I got to show it.
On the contrary, Tank Davis stated that it was a good night for boxing, but concluded that he won the bout while commending Lamont Roach as a formidable fighter. He expressed eagerness for a rematch, confident that his true abilities would shine in another encounter.
It was a good night for the sport. Didn't get what the decision I want, but we didn't get a loss either, so I felt like I won it, the last couple rounds, so it's cool. Lamont is a great fighter. Hopefully I could get that rematch, because I know what I can do in a fight, but it's cool.
Speaking on the round 9 knockdown, Lamont Roach emphasized that he believed he should have won, even if that moment hadn't been counted as a knockdown. He explained that according to the rules, voluntarily taking a knee is considered a knockdown. He stated that it is what it is, but he was never relying solely on that ruling to secure his victory.
Man, I'm not. Honestly, I thought I should have won without that being counted a knockdown. Look, I ain't the ref. I ain't really, you know what I'm saying? Like, if he had to wipe sweat out his eye, he had to wipe sweat out his eye. But the rules do state, if you voluntarily take a knee, then that's an automatic 8 count. But it is what it is. I wasn't relying on that. I was relying on what I was doing in there. I think I was taking control. I think I was landing more shots. I think I was landing more power shots. And I thought I was doing my thing. So I'm not really that frustrated about that.
Roach clarified that he wasn't frustrated by the ruling itself, but if that moment had been officially counted as a knockdown, he believes the judges' scorecards would have given him a majority decision win.
But if that was counted a knockdown, I would win the majority decision.
Moreover, Tank Davis highlighted how no one expects a draw from a fighter known for his knockout power. He expressed confidence that a rematch would allow him to showcase even more of his abilities, admitting that in this fight he lost focus in some rounds and believes he could have done more overall.
Nobody like a draw, from a guy that get knockouts and things like that, but it's cool. I feel like if we fight again, I could do more, and I should have did more. I was lost in I lost track in the rounds. That's why we need, what is it called? Yeah, man.
Lamont Roach acknowledged Tank Davis's considerable power, noting that Davis certainly possesses the ability to knock opponents out. He mentioned that he had always touted his own ability to absorb punches, as he has a solid chin, but he understood why Davis is known for his knockout potential, and he firmly believes that Davis felt the impact of his own strength during the fight.
I ain't gonna say it's exaggerated. I told y'all I got a chin. I ain't going like that. It's just not gonna happen. But like I said, I see why he knocked people out, and I think he felt my power too.
Tank Davis acknowledged that he believed he could have stopped his opponent, but ultimately admitted that it was his own shortcomings that prevented him from doing so.
I could have stopped him. It's me. Definitely my fault.
In the end, the contentious decision has left the boxing community divided, fueling debates about scoring fairness and setting the stage for a highly anticipated rematch. Both fighters showcased undeniable skill, and while some experts argue that the bout was marred by judging inconsistencies, everyone agrees that this fight has redefined expectations in the ring. If you enjoyed this video, consider giving us a like and share with a fellow boxing fan. Subscribe and click the bell icon so you don't miss a beat.